Yeah, I mean, of course, in India, no one grows wanting to be India's top television star, right? I am not worried about, how this will impact. Also, understanding my privilege, a Hindu surname really helps. Couple of times at lunch, when I met my parents, my mom would be like, hey, that's a great dance show, you should do it, you'll be great at it. But I'll be like, listen, my focus is I'm an actor. I'll tell you two things which don't really lure me to a great extent would be chasing fame or money, right? And you'd only do it if you're chasing either. Through some of my failures, I found why do I want to do what I do. Through that, I found what attitude I want to approach this way. And I think especially in our industry where you're constantly, you're judged by your last hit or miss. But every time I sort of have a day where I'm like, oh, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Does this give me happiness? Am I doing well enough?
Yeah.
I tell myself none of this is permanent.
Like, how dare he not be friends with Surbhi? Or just not be in touch with Surbhi?
But not being in touch,
that's how they equate.
He's great. He's the best thing which has happened to us. Like Janki keeps telling me, and we've been together for a while. And we didn't anticipate anything could be better than already what we share.
Hi guys, this is Bhavna, and today I have someone who I have the privilege of calling a friend in the industry, who is not just a terrific actor but also a lovely human being himself. Nakuul Mehta joins me for another episode of Extraordinary You. Welcome to Bollywood Bubble, Nakuul.
You are the extraordinary you.
No, definitely not. Nakuul is the one who adds the extra to the ordinary.
To my ordinary.
That's true. But thank you so much. I know that it has taken you a lot. Time he has become a father also. He's an actor. He also, those who follow him on social media know how active he is when it comes to that. इतने में फिर हम जैसे लोगों के लिए टाइम निकालना मुश्किल हो जाता है. I know
once
that.
you're done with all of these formalities, we should start this.
But thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it had been. Thank you again. But tell me, Extraordinary You, जैसे मैंने नाम ही बोला है, पता चल गया है कि it is about celebrating your journey that you have had in the showbiz industry. But tell me, this is something I had been curious about for the longest time, कि हमेशा से actor बनना था या social, philanthropist type कुछ, because I've always seen you as someone who is not just an actor. You're more than that. काफ़ी लोग ना सिर्फ वो अपने एक रोल में रह जाते हैं. आपने कभी you have never boxed yourself in that.
तो मेरी एक्टिंग की तरफ रुचि तो हमेशा से थी towards performing arts, and that could have been just being on stage, elocution, also sports, drama. पर मुझे लगता है कि मैं acting is my profession. I'm an actor by profession, but I have a life which is much larger and much more expansive than just ये shows किए हैं या ये काम किया है या theatre किया है. I think हम सबकी ज़िंदगियाँ बहुत बड़ी होती हैं. If we choose to live by that, but if we choose to live by the actor tag, then it's a very limiting life. So I feel there's so much more, and now after having become a father, I feel I've really found my best role now.
I have to congratulate you firstly for embracing fatherhood. I know when I read about it, I was the happiest. I was like, shit, अगर COVID नहीं होता, I would have definitely gone and met Surbhi, because it was just lovely. Congratulations again. Too Much Democracy is a series which I absolutely enjoyed, because I felt that it's very, very, very few artists actually take that stand in times especially like this, when everything you say is being scrutinized.
Correct.
I know a lot of people, even especially on Twitter, there were a lot of people who would be like, why is he doing this? Why does he need to? And another thing is, अरे but ये तो TV actor है.
Correct.
ये क्यों ऐसे बोल रहा है?
TV show में acting करे ना, पहले वो तो सीखे. हाँ, बहुत आता है.
But does it ever bother you at times कि ये who are these people, these faceless people who are actually saying all this rubbish?
No, it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. Actually, I laughed about it. Yeah. Like you just said, faceless, it's very easy to today have a judgment, or because all of us are like our own heroes on social media, right? Yeah. It doesn't affect me. I feel that it actually spurs me on that more people are affected in more ways than one by the art I'm creating, or by the work I'm doing, or thoughts I'm sharing. And genuinely I laugh about it. And I feel you have time to give opinions on people when you yourself are not creating.
That's true.
So I have not been deterred by that, and a lot of people say, oh, you're the only voice from your fraternity.
But that's true, huh?
I would beg to differ. I think, everyone has their own unique strengths, right? I am not worried about, how this will impact. Also understanding my privilege, a Hindu surname really helps in the current environment.
True.
Privilege, all of that really helps. If someone else was doing this, it would be much harder.
That's
so
true.
I don't think I'm doing anything extraordinary. I'm doing what anybody else in my place would feel, and a lot of us feel. I feel a lot of my colleagues from the fraternity must be feeling, and they must be having their own reason of not speaking up, which is fine. So I don't think me speaking about social issues should be any reason we should look down upon people who don't speak. That's fine.
We are not looking down upon people, but what I find amazing is that despite all of that, there's of course a lot of appreciation that comes your way, because I also see that.
Right.
But there's also a lot of people who pass judgments saying that why is he doing that? What is the need to do that? But चलो आपको नहीं affect होता है, but family, maybe Janki, does it ever get to her? Because people don't only tag you, they'll also tag the
everybody,
family.
my parents.
Yeah.
Mother on a few occasions has sort of told me, go easy. My uncle called me from the US. But they also know what I stand for is truth, and it's kind of hard to sort of fight with that, right? So whilst they understand, they also understand that's intrinsically me. And if you talk about being trolled for some of it, I mean, there are a lot of other colleagues of mine who are putting dance reels up and seducing the camera, and they get trolled for that.
Yeah.
Not judging that. So you'll get trolled for anything, because today that's the environment we're in, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't really affect me at all.
कभी भी नहीं किया?
नहीं, I mean, एक बार मुझे याद है, मैंने एक लव जहाज मैंने और अजय ने कविता की थी, and we woke up to 22,000 comments on Instagram overnight, right?
Wow.
And of course a lot of other side of ideology, and we said, hey, great opportunity to write another poem. तो हमने तो वो कर दिया.
But I have to mention Ajay's name as well, that he is amazing.
He's a phenomenal
both of you,
mind.
As a group,
You're a jodi, man.
But सच में जोड़ी है ये, because I really enjoy all the kind of poems that you put forward, because जो हम सोच रहे होते हैं वो वहाँ पे लिखा हुआ होता है.
Yeah, I'm so glad it resonates.
And when did this, especially if I have to ask, too much democracy was something, I take a lot of pride in saying that I know you as a person as well, because a lot of people who really like your work and who may have not connected with you, they tell me that, we really enjoy his work. It just makes me happy knowing that people, even if they don't know you personally, they enjoy your work. And that,
so happy to hear that.
That's a great compliment. But tell me, when you are choosing a project, come what may, be it on OTT, film or television, do you ever keep that in mind, that what is my audience perhaps expecting from me? Because there is an audience who really expects a certain kind of content when it comes to Nakuul Mehta.
I mean, the popular answer should be yes, I do.
No, but you never do the popular answer.
But the truth is that no, I don't. Because I feel if I pander to what I feel they want, and it's I feel they want, because I don't know what they really want, I will not be doing justice or being authentic to my intuition. And I only go by my intuition. There was no plan to come back into television right now. But when Bade Achhe Lagte Hain, that call happened, and I instinctively thought this was right.
Yeah.
It felt right. When Never Kiss happened, it instantly, I read the script, spoke to the director, said, let's do it. Like Too Much Democracy also, we didn't think too much about it, right? So I think I go by my instinct. If it feels right, it resonates, it usually kind of
works for you,
plays out well for me. So I genuinely don't really go by what audience thinks, and I feel if I am convinced about it, it will reach a certain amount of people. And
it does. I mean, I don't remember any project of yours which perhaps you did and it did not work out in your favor. But
and even if it does, at least I can take the onus of it.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking कि ये अभी मुझे reality show करना चाहिए क्योंकि इससे ना following बढ़ जाएगी यार. मतलब that's not how I live my life.
But have you ever heard that sort of advice from people around you? That maybe you should do a reality show. It will help.
I mean,
how do you deal with it?
No, I mean a lot of the big ones have come to me, and a couple of times at lunch when I met my parents, my mom would be like, hey, that's a great dance show, you should do it, you'll be great at it. But I'll be like, listen, my focus is I'm an actor. Yeah. And I don't want to sort of defocus, or like move away from that and try and focus on two things at a time. Yeah. I can't. So of course there's always, people around you or like well-meaning family who would advise, but they also know that I'm headstrong and I'll do something which I'm very convinced about.
But कभी भी tempt नहीं हुआ कि maybe ये कर लेते हैं?
Because I'll tell you two things which don't really lure me to a great extent would be chasing fame or money, right? And you'd only do it if you're chasing either. And maybe it also comes from the fact that now I've enjoyed some of it. Yeah. Maybe if you asked me 10 years ago, it would be a different answer. But now having enjoyed a bit of it and having grown and evolved, I feel all of that is a byproduct of how well you do your job.
Yeah.
Right? So my focus is only on that, on the process. And usi mein maza aata hai yaar. Like I enjoy just being on set and working.
You know, I can vouch for that as well because आज इतने दिनों बाद मैं set पे आई हूँ, but I can see that happiness when you're giving that shot, before a shot, after a shot. I mean and that is what drives.
That's what we live for, right? I mean eventually पैसे तो सब कमाते हैं. आजकल सब social media पे stars हैं, तो आप उसके लिए काम नहीं कर सकते, आप अपने लिए काम करते हो, and then everything else is a byproduct which you live with.
But when you started off, Nakuul, a decade back, was this the idea that was the prime focus?
No. I think I found myself. To be honest, when I was in my early 20s, you're enamored by this industry, you're enamored by people tell you, oh, I think you look good, you should act. You think you can act. It's all a perception you have in your head, at least for me. And I think through that process, I found myself. You know, through some of my failures, I found why do I want to do what I do. Through that, I found what attitude I want to approach this way. And I found myself, and I'm still finding it. Like 3 years down the line, I might be a different version of this. But I found it, of course. And I think now, having sort of hit like the basic checkpoints of, you know, all of us look for validation. All of us look for, you know, do people think you're good enough at your job? You know, all of that. So, initial just stages of career ke, I think I've kind of crossed that. And now it's no more looking for validation. It's no more looking for how many people are.
When did you attain that stage? Because जैसा आपने बोला, there is always that 4 or 5 years at least where you are looking for people to tell you. So when did you? When was that point where you thought that अब validation की ज़रूरत नहीं है? अब I know that I'm.
मतलब ऐसा नहीं है. As human beings, just constantly like you know, you gave me that compliment. Of course, it makes me happy. It's not that I am reached some nirvana state. But I think the last 2 years have played a huge part in how I now approach life. Fatherhood has changed a lot of, parenthood has changed a lot of things. And happiness is in the smaller things. Really an award or external gratification or material gratification doesn't do the same for me what just spending time with family does.
Surbhi and Janki does.
Yeah, or just coming on set and like having a really good day does. And that for me is why I want to live my, you know, why I do what I do.
You mentioned having a good day on set. I want to know, everyone's definition of having a good day on set is very different, right? For you, what is that day? Which is that day when you are like, आज दिन अच्छा था?
So I'll tell you honestly, on a television set, क्योंकि हम रोज काम करते हैं and this volume of work is so much more. If I can get one good scene out in a day, not to say I won't get the other 7.
Yeah, but there's that one.
That one scene which I can completely be in harmony with, I live my day by that.
How often does that happen to you?
90% of the times.
Wow,
I make sure it happens. I tune my life to make sure that happens. And then there are days when I can have that one great coffee and that makes me happy now. So it happens a lot because I'm focused on making that happen. I'm focused on making each day productive for myself. And sometimes it may not be material which might drive it, but it might be your own way of finding new things in the material.
True.
तो मिल जाता है यार. I think आप ढूंढो तो
मिल जाता है वो तो
100% मिलता है.
But do you remember? I remember in one of the conversations on a panel discussion once you had mentioned that there was a point in the beginning of your career when even you had a perception about television. Because absolutely. You were like, you know, and that's not anyone's fault. That's just the perception and the mental block most people have, right? Today, in retrospect, when you look at that, how has things changed for you? When did that change happen for you? You know, when you realize that this is a mental block that I have.
Yeah, I mean, of course, in India, no one grows wanting to be India's top television star, right? And I think, especially when you're growing up, also it was, I think, your worldview is limited. It was my own juvenile thinking, where you know everyone wants to be like, you know, the factor theatre actor, right? But I think life taught me that you need to be a working actor. You need to be an actor who and like, what's the reason you're acting? You're acting literally to really reach out to people, and you know. And I think somewhere when I stumbled upon television, it wasn't my first choice, but having stumbled upon it and seeing the beauty of this reach and also the beauty of being able to live every character, I realized that this is such a powerful medium, and I absolutely love it, adore it, and for me, this will always be priority over every other medium. As long as I have good stories to tell. I love television, and I think no other medium could give me the satisfaction which this has given me, or given me the reach platform
Yeah.
to express myself. Like I could have done a Too Much Democracy without being a television star, and no one would have heard it.
Yeah.
It gives me, so yeah, I think that's evolution, right?
And that is, I think it's needed, right? If you don't grow as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was the same person which I was
I
2
remember.
years back,
I remember that person.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
what would...
Yeah,
मतलब ही क्या होता
correct.
है? There
Correct.
needs to be some growth, if not personally,
Yes.
then somewhere you have to find that, right?
Yeah.
I feel that Indian television in itself has a lot of potential.
Correct.
We start off really well,
Yeah.
but we lose our plot eventually.
Correct.
Like, because of course it's driven by TRP. And do you think that if that can change somehow, we will be actually doing much more better work when it comes to
I think the
content?
problem is, till you don't make finite shows, you can't have your writing in place. Everything comes from writing. Even I think 90% of the film work we do is very mass oriented. A lot of it is like our television. साल में 2 show आते हैं जो बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, या साल में 6 फिल्में आती हैं जो बहुत अच्छी होती हैं. Even on digital, there are 2 great shows, right? As far as I can remember, there was Scam.
Yeah.
And there's something else I saw which I really liked. But that's it. And then there are lots of other shows, right? So वो हमेशा 2-3 ही होंगे. But if we are making material content every day on television, it's very hard. I don't blame anybody, right? So I feel, however, if you're lucky, and I personally feel I've been very fortunate that the 3rd show which I'm doing, all 3 shows I've done, Pyar Ka Dard, Ishqbaz, I've had great material to play on most days.
Yeah.
Right? And then there are days where you get by because that's the nature of the business. And
Yeah.
once you understand that and recognize that, I think you'll be happier.
That is true, and I don't think I need to mention. I've loved all your shows. I think आप ही के कुछ ही shows है जो मैं देखती हूँ. Otherwise, I don't even watch television so much.
मुझे कोरियन ड्रामा करना पड़ेगा ताकि तुम मेरी ऑडियंस फिर से बन सको.
Yeah, no, I am still your audience, but it's become थोड़ा ऐसे.
I can imagine.
But
right.
but tell me something also. When you're looking for the one thing that no one can ever associate Nakuul Mehta with is that you've never been boxed. Never been boxed in a certain kind of role. I know it has been difficult to say no to a lot of similar characters when you once do it. But when you say no to a certain project, do they take it आराम से, या फिर do they say कि यार बहुत attitude आ गया है इस बंदे के?
आपको पता होगा, आप मीडिया में हो.
नहीं,
आप मुझे बताइए, what is the perception? I actually should ask you, what is the perception?
No, I have never heard anything. Yeah. I mean, I've heard about a lot of other actors, but definitely not about you.
You must have heard.
No,
come on, tell me story.
No, you are the only person I have never heard really anything bad about. मतलब कुछ है तो बता दो आप ही मुझे.
नहीं, मतलब there are, of course, I mean, it's in every actor's life. You do some and you don't do some.
Yeah.
And I feel as far as your intent is correct about why you don't want to do it, I think it reaches out.
But have you ever heard something like this?
For me?
Yeah, where people would be like, पता नहीं क्यों मना कर दिया.
नहीं,
should do this
मतलब
role.
मेरे तक बात आई नहीं तो मुझे नहीं पता है. But although when you're saying you're not boxed into one, I actually beg to differ. In fact, most of the roles I get still are all based on the romantic image which has been created by some wonderful shows which I've done. And it's kind of hard to break out of. It's not easy. So, but I also realize that I mean, might be the best person to do it on the
that's
medium.
a good way to look at it.
Right? And like, why would I run away from it? And so I don't fight that anymore. But I try and find different flavors to that in every role I do. Personally, for myself.
That's why I say, I mean, we can take, all your characters, Shivai ho, Ram ho, even though they are romantic characters per se, when you see it as an individual, they are still very different people.
Yeah.
And I think that the credit goes to you, that you make sure that they are still different while they are...
It goes to me, it also goes to some amazing, I think, people I work with who thought of me for that. It could have, anyone else could have played this role, right?
Yeah.
But I think credit to the makers, Ekta, the channel, who thought that I'd come and possibly do justice to it. So I think it's never just you. It's also like you meeting the right opportunity, creators, and then some magic happens. So
but Nakuul, when we talk about your journey per se as well, there have been times, I'm sure, when I speak to other actors as well, there have been lows and they have dealt with it in a different way. What has been your process whenever you have hit a low? How did you come out of it? Did you ever have self-doubts that am I even meant for this?
Yeah, I mean, I have it all the time.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it happens very often. And I think especially in our industry where you're constantly, like, you're judged by your last hit or miss. But every time I sort of have a day where I'm like, oh, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Does this give me happiness? Am I doing well enough?
Yeah.
I tell myself none of this is permanent, right? Like you've been lucky to be on this ride, and if none of this exists tomorrow, would I still be happy for the life, the way I'm living my life? And then I say, yeah. So I try to disassociate myself from the image people might have of me, of what I do at work. I mean, that's just work. That's just one part of my life. So I tell myself, don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
While your choices you need to make seriously, like don't take yourself too seriously. And I get out of it. I mean, that's the only way.
But that would have been difficult, right? When you started off, it must have been difficult to...
It was. But I think now I keep telling myself, like, you know, because my own standards from myself, and there are days I get bogged down saying, hey, I'm not like pushing myself.
Yeah.
But then I also tell myself that it's okay. If you were a cricketer, you would have a couple of days where you would get out on a duck. It happens to the best of people.
Yeah.
You're no different. And I pick myself up. All of us have days like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had a day.
I like how you pointed that out, because that is one of the days is today only.
And it's normal. It's okay, you know, and that's the day you tell yourself, hey, okay, I will get by this. I will do the best I can at that point, and that's okay.
But tell me, I mean, in the beginning, especially when you had to face some rejections, I'm sure you must have.
I mean, I still audition for parts, and I still sometimes don't get them. It happens all the time.
And what is the major reason they always say?
There's not a reason, yeah. Sometimes,
काफी time ऐसा होता है ना कि you are almost locked for a project, but then something changes overnight.
So you may not be the only person who can play that part. There might be someone else for the makers who might suit that part better, and fair, absolutely fair. So it's not that I don't audition for parts and I sometimes don't get them and I really want to do it. So it happens, but then you take it in your stride and you say that the parts you're doing right now
better.
are 1,000 other people who want to do that part, right? And then you take solace in that and say, hey, I'm going to do my best here. So rejection, it's part of our lives. You've chosen to be in an industry where you'll have more rejections than, you know,
probably
yeses. So that's part of your life. As long if you want to be rejected by that, it's the wrong place to be.
But if I had to ask the same question to Nakuul 10 years back, how did he deal with rejections back then?
I think he found himself. He found his way. Initially, it was hard, and then you don't have a support system. You've not found yourself. It's hard at every point of life, right? It's not easy even now. There are parts I really want to do, they don't happen, and someone else does it. And the difference is, I don't feel bad about it anymore because I realize you're meant to do certain things which will only happen with you, and those are your opportunities to go out and do your best.
True.
Right? And what doesn't happen, there might be someone else better suited for it, and I might be better suited for what I'm doing right now.
That's true. Yeah.
So
but has there been any time, because I've always been curious about this, especially when it comes to your journey, you know, people's perception about you, not just perception I would say, but the treatment they give to a certain person changes with the way with the popularity. It sometimes happens, especially in this industry. When you start off, people don't give you the kind of respect you probably think or you know you deserve. Sure. But it changes once you attain a certain level of stardom. Has that ever happened to you as well?
Yeah, it has. I remember I was doing Pyar Kar Dar, this was 2012. I was invited to my first TV award function. And I went there, and of course in my head I thought I'm doing this big show, you know, and I went and I was asked to sit on the 20th row.
Really?
And in my head I was like, पर यार मैं हीरो हूँ इतना बड़ा शो का. And that day I told myself that I'll only go back to an award function when I'm going to win an award. The very next year I got the Best Actor award at the same award function. But what that also taught me was the humility, and now I host a lot of these award functions, and I make sure that I reach out to people who are sitting on the 20th row. These are younger actors, may not have broken out yet, and I make sure they feel accepted, because there was a time when I felt so out of place. So it's happened to me, and it's only been learning and impetus to like make sure that anyone who's coming new, I can be that elder brother.
One of the most difficult things in the industry is to be honest and at the same time maintain friendships, because when you're too honest with people also, they can take offense, right? So how do you strike that balance, especially with the kind of friendships that you have maintained?
I actually don't have that problem, because to be honest, I don't have, my closest friends are not from the industry. I have very few friends in the industry because having spent so much time in Bombay before I started work, I already have a friend circle who are my close-knit, right? And people I meet at work are colleagues who some of them I deeply love and have bonds with, but that's not where I seek life advice or, right? So मुझे झूठ नहीं बोलना पड़ता क्योंकि इतने दोस्त नहीं है यहाँ पर, है ना? तो झूठ बोलना ही नहीं पड़ता है. And मैं जिससे and people I really am invested in and I truly love, I will give them like absolutely.
Yeah.
I will share with them what I feel and they do the same. So I don't fall in that trap because I don't have too many friends.
You know, that's such a great thing to hear, because I remember the last interview that you did, and you mentioned that you're not in touch with Surbhi so much, and it created a lot of like, you know, headlines and everything, because जो Surbhi और आपके fans थे, Narbhi, that's right, हाँ, Narbhi fans थे, they felt a little offended that, you know, how dare he not be friends with Surbhi, or just not be in touch with Surbhi.
But not being in touch,
no, that's how they equate.
Yeah,
that's
see,
the problem.
But again, like,
that's a problem.
I mean, if I was to make a fake story and say, hey, we just spoke yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's not true, right?
Yeah,
so I'd rather be honest.
Yeah.
And like I said, I never make professional choices based on what I feel the audiences would want. I don't make interview headlines basis what a popular answer would be, right? I don't go out making selfies every day with people I work to share or show how much I love or respect them. You don't do that because you don't do that, right? You don't go to work and say, hey Nayan, let's do a selfie today, let's show people how much we like love each other.
I mean, that would be too fake then, right?
So I'd only honestly, if you ask me honestly about anything, I'll tell you if I am. Like, I haven't seen you in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And if I was to say that today on someone else's interview, but I have not met her.
Yeah.
These are also a lot of younger people who are also so attached to the idea of loving a pair as a couple. I also see it as just love, right? And it's okay. Everyone has a different way of expressing themselves. I can't expect them to express the way I would like them to express.
True.
It's fine if it makes someone, but the honest truth is that, you know, if someone asks you, I'll have to tell you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, people can perceive whatever they want of it. It's fine.
But when you came back with Disha, जिसको आपने मतलब 10 साल हो गए ना वो
शुरुआत में 2011 में शुरुआत की थी.
तो मतलब वहाँ से लेके अब तक you both have grown as individual as well. So
I mean, you better grow. It's 10 years, dude. It'll be quite weird if you didn't.
अब मतलब जब आप इतने दिनों बाद सेट पे 10 साल बाद जब वापस सेट पे and in a professional environment, not just personal, when you came, how was it different? What do you think of Disha as an actor now? Like, how much has she evolved?
Oh, definitely matured, yeah. And I've seen her when she'd started.
Yeah.
Absolutely raw. She's never acted before, right? Really matured. But what remains the same is just like this unsaid understanding we have. We don't like tell each other what we'll do in a scene, and I have this trust that she'll pick up from the random things I'll throw at her, and I know what she could possibly throw at me. So there's comfort. And which I like. I like that at work. I don't like workplace to be complicated.
Yeah.
One-upmanship, etc. It's very easy working with her. It's very chilled. And definitely there's a marked growth as an actor. I'm sure she would probably say the same. But
she has, because I had interviewed her back then. Yeah.
But the best part is there's just ease. There is no formality of I have to make conversation with this person to break ice. So sometimes you just sit, do our scenes, not talk to each other.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about ye kya sochegi. That's beautiful.
And I think that is what is needed.
That's what it is, right? ऐसा नहीं है कि हम जा रहे तो हमें bye darling, bye बोलना है. कभी-कभी बात भी नहीं करके चले जाते हैं, and it's normal. That's what you would do with friends, right?
Yeah.
So that's the beauty about working with her, and I really enjoy that.
What are the kind of compliments that you are receiving for your on-screen pairing with her now? Plus, for playing Ram, I mean, it's such a different character. Different, I know everyone says ki different hai, but in terms of the nuances that you bring to Ram, it's different.
Like, a mother was telling me this, that she's never received as many calls for any other work I've done in such a short span of time. And I would assume something is probably right. Yeah, I don't know how much to make of what people write and say, because I'm assuming every actor gets this, right? So somewhere I don't understand, but what I do understand is that when I do a scene, something feels right.
Yeah.
There's fluidity, there's the marks I hit, the rhythm is right. I enjoy it. As long as I enjoy it, it feels right.
No, because I remember when I first saw the episode, the one thing that I told you also, in fact, was that not even for a moment could I compare even the subconscious mind with the old Ram, because it just didn't come. Yeah. And that, I think, was an achievement for the team in itself.
Yeah, for the team. I'm so glad you said for the team, because it's never an independent.
Yeah, I was like, but because it was a fresh approach completely, right? But when you took this project were there a little bit of apprehension that there will be comparisons made?
Not at all.
sure?
Yeah, I'm never worried about it. Also, there's very high self-worth where I think I'm skilled enough to be able to take on a role. I'm saying it so not humbly, but
No.
but there was no, like, I knew this is a show I'd like to do, and 50 episodes into it, I'm so glad, because if 2.5 years after Ishbaz, and Ishbaz is a tough act to follow up, right? This is the best, literally, from everything I've seen on television. I'm so glad I made this choice, and I really enjoy it.
And after embracing parenthood, how is it like? Because you are almost a lot of time you spend on sets now.
Yeah, I don't get to see him as
Janki
much.
and Sufi, I mean, you know, how are you? I know this is asked to actresses a lot, actually.
Yeah.
How do you balance it out? But I want to ask you, how do you balance this?
It's
in
very
both the
tough.
roles?
It's very tough. I'm living my life. I'm seeing him grow vicariously through video calls. When I'm back home in the night, he's gone to sleep. It's hard, man. And yeah, I mean, not to say that I'm pushed into this. I could have chosen to extend my time with him, which I got for 6 months uninterrupted because also of the pandemic. But also somewhere selfishly, I like professionally this gives me a lot of joy, and I feel that joy I take back home. And I'm hoping that when he grows up a little older, he would be proud and happy to see his father do something which probably
I think
gives people.
Sufi is a blessed child in that way, touch wood, because I feel that he has this amazing father and an amazing mother. I mean, Janki, of course,
Amazing
I've
mother
loved
for sure. Yeah.
the way she handles everything, not just being an independent musician herself, but balancing work as well, personal life as well. But was it difficult, especially because the moment he was born, he had to go through a medical procedure, which, of course, I mean, for any parent, when I read about it, I felt so bad. For a parent, it must have been very difficult. How did you go? I mean, what were those days like for you and Janki both?
Honestly, Janki and I are such a solid team that we said, okay, this is what's the reality. Let's tide through it. And I think it's hard for any parent, forget like us. It would be. And I thought we did a pretty good job, and credit to her, I think. She was super strong through it. And sometimes we sort of, I don't think, understand the resilience these young
kids
lives have. And he was amazing through it. And I think that gave us like courage and confidence. And I'm so glad that happened initially, because that also gave us a lot more, like I think we suddenly grew up to be parents. From being like, hey, we're parents now, to now becoming responsible of one, of a life. So I think, it taught us a lot.
But how is he doing, firstly?
He's great. He's the best thing which has happened to us. Like Janki keeps telling me, and we've been together for a while. And we didn't anticipate anything could be better than like already what we share. But it is, and it's beautiful. And I think your worldview, how you approach work, I feel how I am as an actor has changed a lot. And in fact, Janki was telling me when she sees work, she tells me that there's a lot of calm and there's a lot of, I think, strength which radiates, which is different from any other work she's seen before. And I think that's really come from like personal experiences of like being now a nurturer. And I feel that really helps in the character I play.
Yeah, true.
So all of that comes from him.
When you both decided that you will reveal, because I remember it took us by surprise. उससे पहले तक हमेशा back shot ही होते थे, and then finally you decided to reveal his face. Was that a conscious choice that okay, finally we'll share a little
one
part
picture.
of like, or was that a difficult?
That was a difficult choice. So I'll tell you, we were such police with our families. We didn't share his picture with anybody. Purely, I didn't want him to grow up on social media. I didn't want the photos to come out in press and people making all kind of comparisons with other kids, etc. It's not fair on him. But we also reached a point where my parents couldn't even share his photos with the family and friends, and people were like, and because of the pandemic, we couldn't invite people over.
Definitely.
I think it got to a point where I felt bad for like both sets of parents, where they really wanted to share happiness. So I said, okay, do this tomorrow, but let me just put this out, because it's not that we didn't want to share it with our loved ones and people who've supported us, fans and audiences. It's just that you're protective.
And
right?
it has to come. I mean, we have seen what happens on social media.
Yeah, which is just absolutely. And I didn't want the focus to divert from, there are so many ways to monetize this now, right? And I didn't want anywhere for us to start feeling that, hey, this is a great opportunity, because money is thrown at you to like,
Definitely,
So we didn't want that to start playing on our lives, and I'm so glad we were able to sustain it and like eventually share him with the world only when he was 7 months old, and still we refrain from like going too crazy, because I think every parent just like is totally in awe of their child and wants to share every part of it.
But that is how it is supposed to be, right?
I guess, but also I think because of the nature of our jobs, I think there is some added responsibility where I don't want him to live basis this and think that he grows up to be this child who everyone knows. Whilst you still want people to bless him and
Definitely. I personally love the phase that you are in, and I hope that you continue to grow as an actor, as a parent, and as a human being per se, because every time I meet you, I learn something different for sure. So thank you so much, Nakuul. Now lastly, before I let you go, I want to know, because it is Extraordinary You, I want you to complete this line for me. I am extraordinary.
Don't give me a task now,
I am extraordinary because, why do you think, if you had to complete that sentence?
Firstly, I don't think I am.
There are a lot of people who would beg to differ here.
I think if I was to agree to the fact that I'm extraordinary because, I said, so I think I'm extraordinary because I'm surrounded by some wonderful people. And I think surrounded would be the wrong word. I'm in the midst of some wonderful people who I've chosen to sort of be around and who have agreed to let me sort of, I think it's family, close friends, people I work with, and they make you extraordinary. Otherwise, all of us were born, regular human beings, and we find ourselves and we try to be the better versions of our own selves.
Yeah, true.
But I think you become better extraordinary is because of the people you're with. Right, so I think that's what makes you better.
Thank you so much. It was lovely chatting with you, and hopefully I'm going to see you soon.
Again. Yes. Thank you.